Have you ever stopped and asked yourself, is this really what my life is supposed to be about? Not because your life is necessarily bad. You have responsibilities, right? You have things you're doing. You're you are taking care of people, you're working, you're trying to build something. You're trying to grow. But somewhere inside you, there's this feeling that says there has to be more. I've had that feeling. And that's one of the reasons I'm starting this channel because I don't want to simply go through life, wake up, do what needs to be done, sleep, and repeat the cycle. I want to live a life that matters, and I believe you might want that too. Hi, I'm Joy, and if you're seeing me for the first time, welcome. I've wanted to start a YouTube channel for a very long time. Actually, YouTube and podcasting were two things I always wanted to do, but I kept thinking about all the things that made me starting intimidating. What would I talk about? What would people love to listen to? What if nobody watches? What if I'm not good enough? What if there are already thousands of people talking about the same things? So, and eventually I realized something. If I keep waiting until I'm completely ready, I may never start. So I'm starting. Not because I have everything figured out, but because I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm becoming, and I want to invite you to come along with me. What does it mean to live a life that matters? I think sometimes we confuse a meaningful life with a successful life. We think a meaningful life has to have a big platform, become famous, make lots of money, and achieve something extraordinary. But I don't think that's necessarily true. A meaningful life can look very ordinary. It can look like raising children who grow up with good character. It can look like teaching one child something that changes the way they see themselves. It can look like encouraging someone who was ready to give up. It can look like building a business that solves a real problem. It can also look like being a good friend, being a faithful spouse, serving God, learning, growing, showing up, doing the little things well. Sometimes impact doesn't look impressive from the outside, but it can be incredibly significant. One thing I'm learning is that purpose isn't always this huge, dramatic thing that suddenly appears in your life. Sometimes purpose is found in the things already in your hands. Maybe you're a mother, or maybe you're a teacher, or maybe you're building a business. Maybe you are caring for elderly parents. Maybe you're studying. Maybe you're working a job you don't particularly love right now. Maybe you're in a season where you're simply trying to figure yourself out. Don't underestimate your current season because sometimes we are so busy looking for our big purpose that we fail to notice the opportunities to make an impact right where we are. Ephesians 2:10 says that we are God's workmanship, created in Christ Jesus to do good works which God prepared in advance for us to do. That tells me something important. My life isn't accidental, and neither is yours. And this is why I think we need to have an honest conversation. You cannot keep asking for greater opportunities while refusing to become a greater version of yourself. You want to make an impact, right? Then grow, learn, develop your character, improve your communication, become disciplined, read, listen, ask questions. Be willing to admit when you don't know something. Be willing to change because sometimes the opportunities we are praying for requires a version of us that we haven't become yet. And becoming doesn't happen overnight. It's a process. So what can you expect from this channel? We are going to talk about purpose. We are going to talk about faith. We are going to talk about character and moral excellence. And we are also going to talk about focus and discipline. We are going to talk about learning and personal growth. We are going to talk about motherhood, womanhood, leadership, and impact. I'll share things I'm learning, I'll share things I'm reading, I'll share lessons from my own experiences. We'll have conversations, we'll have honest discussions. And yes, there will also be some lifestyle content because life isn't divided neatly into little boxes, right? Sometimes the lesson is in the classroom, sometimes it's in the kitchen, sometimes it's while raising your children, sometimes it's while building a business, sometimes it's in a difficult season, and sometimes it's simply in the quiet moments when you're trying to figure out what God is doing in your life. And I want to say this because it's important to me. Of course, I would love for this channel to grow. I would love for thousands of people to watch these videos. I would love to build a community where here, but I don't want to create content simply because the algorithm says I should. I want someone to watch a video and say, that made me think. I needed to hear that. I learned something. I'm going to do something differently because of this. So if one person watches something I create and decides not to give up, if one woman discovers that she still has a purpose, if one parent learns something that helps them raise a better child, if one person decides to start learning again, if someone becomes more intentional with their life, then that content has done something meaningful. And that's the kind of impact I want. So, if you are also in a season of becoming, so if you're trying to figure out your purpose, if you want to grow, if you want to become more disciplined, if you want to make an impact, if you love learning, if your faith is important to you, or maybe you're simply someone who knows there's more inside you and you're trying to figure out what to do with it, I think you fit right in here.